and welcome to this episode in the Associate Member Series of the Canso CEO Conversations. These videos are intended to get an associate's view on the year just gone and the year ahead. And today we speak with an organisation whose role in ATCO training highlights the very direct links between Canso associate members and Canso full members. Today we welcome Kathrine Jensen, the CEO of Entry Point North, one of the largest ATS training academies in the world. As in previous episodes, we'll be asking Kathrine about her experiences throughout the last year and what she predicts for the year ahead. Welcome, Kathrine.
Thank you so much, Connor. Great to be here.
Excellent. I want to first ask about the last 12 months. How have the last 12 months changed EPN's operations and plans? And have those plans changed from what they might have been either before the pandemic or even have they evolved during the pandemic?
Wow, yeah, that's a great question, Connor. I guess for everyone in this business, or actually everybody in the world, this has been a quite challenging year. And, Entry Point North operates with a headquarter in Sweden, and then we do have additional training sites spread all over, especially Europe, but also in China. So it meant that when the pandemic struck the world, we could kind of follow it coming first with in China, where we had to close down our operation, and then it gradually swept east towards Europe. Meaning that we had to close down in Spain, we had to close down in Brussels, we closed down in Sweden, in Ireland, in Denmark, and finally in Hungary. So, at first it was a great shock, and, we had to kind of just close down immediately. But then quite quickly we had to adapt and find out, okay, how do we cope with this situation? And what we had to do and what we decided to do was that we could not take a one-size-fits-all, you could say, towards the challenges in the different companies. We had to follow the national regulations and the restrictions that was imposed by the governments in, for instance, China, in Spain, in Belgium, etc., and etc. So that was a huge challenge back then.
If you think then you have quite a global footprint, and if you push your thinking out then to the wider industry, what do you think the last 12 months have taught the air traffic industry, either for the better or maybe even for the worse?
Well, I think the big challenge here is that we're in a very global industry, as you say. You can work within our line of business all over the globe, and we do that. But still, you see what you tend to see is that there are still quite a lot of national regulations, national restriction, and also in the normal operational environment, you see national regulatory authorities operating in the different regions. So even though it is a global industry, we still are quite linked to the national regulations that we see in the different countries where we operate.
So if we think then about that regulation and maybe some other issues as well, going forward then, how do we as an industry, the suppliers, the stakeholders, how do we work together to build better resilience?
Well, I think that, the initiatives in Europe, for instance, that we see within the European Union, we're trying to create some regional framework around this. For my line of business, it's the regulation called 340, which are talking about, it's a common regulatory framework that everybody working in Europe has to adhere to. And that's a good thing, but still, there are quite a lot of national freedom below that to kind of interpret the European regulation into national law. And here is, the interpretation can look a little bit different. So now I've been in this training environment for the last 15 years, and, we have done a continuous progress towards more and more, accepting licenses from each other's countries and so on. And that's a great step forward. But I think that is something that we should work on, even also on a global level, to try to make it a more, you could say, a truly global business and a more seamless environment, enabling business across the different borders. That could be a step forward.
And you mentioned there what you've learned over the last 15 years and how we evolve. And so if we think about where the world is now and where it might be hopefully in a few years' time, what do you think are the biggest risks for the industry, but also what do you think are the biggest opportunities in the coming years?
Well, you know, I'm quite optimistic. So you know, if you look maybe 100 years back in this industry, there have been several bumps on the road, and this is another one. However, it's a big one, and it's global, so it's all over the world. But I think still that, you know, the movement that there have been in the last years to create different kind of partnerships, I still think that that is the way to go, because, you know, thinking that you as an operator can broaden yourself over a lot of different areas, it doesn't really make sense. I still see that the need to build these different partnerships will create, you know, or will enable all of the stakeholders and all of the partners to be really, really good at what they are actually doing, and making it to be more like a complementing complementing each other instead of trying to grasp over a very, very broad spectrum.
Okay. And finally, we're asking all our CEOs to pick 3 words that they would use to describe the ATM community and explain maybe why they've chosen those 3 words. So what would your 3 words be?
Well, I think that our industry are in a vacuum right now, because everybody's waiting to see, okay, when will the vaccine come and when will the traffic kick back, you know, so we're a little bit in a waiting position. The other keyword I would use is vulnerable, because I think that we have seen how vulnerable our industry is. You know, we are really in a totally breakdown right now, and I think that has been a quite shockful experience for many of our partners. And also what I can see as the third word is that I think we see a little bit an identity crisis, because, you know, I come from I have an ANSP background as well, and experiencing a crisis like this, which is worldwide and which is so deep and which has lasted for so long, and we can see that it's not over yet, it kind of puts a question mark on a lot of things. It's like, okay, how is your business model? How is your operating model? How are you funded? How is the relation to your customers, your partners? There's a lot of issues up in the air that makes you think, okay, are we doing the right thing now? And is this current model that we have been used to, is it sustainable going forward? I think that's a very, very important thing to figure out, to see, okay, what do you have to change going forward? For us, we have thrown ourselves into some kind of a online concept development, because we have been forced to do so. So, you know, instead of having the same business model, offering our customers courses either in one of our academies or at customer site, you know, we have moved a lot of things online, and you know, we see that this is a new way of working that we need to develop further going forward, because we see this is a new way, and this is what our customers will be expecting in the future.
Thank you. Well, that's all the questions I have today, Kathrine, and thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for your time. I know EPN are very loyal supporters of Canso events and exhibitions, and I look forward to seeing you once soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.